Hello and welcome to Warblog. This is a quick sort of introduction to this new game. It's not quite finished, but it's sort of finished. It's hot off the press. I've only just put it together. I've got most of the sort of the main points, but it's a long game. It lasts over a year, and I think once you get past the first stages, it's you can't really model the whole year. So every year is basically it's 1 week. Sorry, every turn is 1 week, and again, it doesn't make a huge amount of sense, but it makes enough sense. And so essentially, this is Abkhazia, and they basically, after Georgia sort of gained its independence, that they declared their independence against Georgia. The irregular units are sort of there, not so much in the sort of traditional sort of. Well, maybe I should put one in there. Oh no, I know what that's for. It's one of these is a landing zone later on in the game. Talking of which, let's just go back a step here. So basically, what I was saying, it's a so that they basically just declared independence, and they're sort of basically ousting all of the Georgian sort of administrative staff, and so Georgia basically invades, but they don't necessarily just invade. They basically send in their National Guard and their police. Now, before I sort of go too far into detail, there is this place here under here. You can't really see it at the moment. Let's see if I can. It's basically Sukhumi. So Sukhumi is under there. It's actually a pretty important place. So if you look down here, we've got this game represents the whole of the war. There are smaller ones, Battle of Sukhumi and Battle of Gagra. Now, I was going to link to it, and it sort of surprised me, but it's sort of interesting. I've already done it. I've already done that one. I didn't know I did it. So you can sort of find that by looking in up Georgia, and there it is. So this one was much later, Tishnavali, Georgia. But this is Sukhumi, and so it's just a little small one. So that is the Battle of Sukhumi, and I haven't put the river on this big one. So that's sort of how they sort of slot in to each other. So I've yet to actually do the Battle of Gagra. I don't really know anything about it. How I actually got into this was looking at one of the scenarios, which is much later. Where this area here is something valley, and this was the only place that Georgia actually still held when they left, and then there was basically an invasion from Russia, and the Georgians were ousted from there. It was a bloodless sort of victory, but it's still, and I thought, I was looking that up, and then I started to get into this, and so this was actually a major conflict. But essentially, the Georgians sort of come in here, and they also do this from down here from Poti, a naval landing. Now I've put the units there, and they basically land at Gantiadi. Now you can land either there or there, because obviously it's hexes. I didn't want to put him there because you might land in Adela, which is in Russia, so at least avoids that embarrassment. So basically, quite a lot of troops, and you can land them all in there. They basically then come down here and take out. Well, they basically, I don't know. So let me just go to the game, because I've already started it, and look at the map. They basically take out Gagra, and Gagra is a sort of central focal point for quite a lot of the war, but they take out a huge chunk of this sort of part of the let me just see if I can get an idea, because I've got the other screen open in front of me. So basically, they take about all of this with these units, and they take pretty much all the way up to here, apart from this little area here, which is presumably in the mountains or something. But they take all of this. So there's this basically enclave here left for the Abkhazians. So they basically take everything, and then essentially what happens next, and it's a bit odd because it all seems to happen sort of at the same time, but the Abkhazians with their allies, basically the Cossacks, Confederation of Mountain Peoples of the Caucasus. I haven't put the Bagramian battalion in just because sort of just fatigued on the adding new units, but basically, yeah, there's essentially what I'm trying to get to is the Abkhazians suddenly get a huge amount of reinforcements. And there's a video actually I'll also want to put in. It's really good, detailing images from the war from all regards. And basically, it's sort of saying that they just didn't have. Even if you look at the number of people that are in Abkhazia, they just didn't have enough to represent the frontage, which he described as 160 kilometres. They didn't have that. They didn't have the equipment. So he said, who gave it to them? And well, I mean, I think that the idea is that the Russians basically armed them. So basically there was a lot of Chechens, Cossacks, people from the sort of Georgian Ossetian conflict. So basically there's this huge amount of there's this huge influx. Now I'm really not sure whether I've got the balance correct at all in the numbers, so see how it works. But essentially the Georgians basically over the period of the next year, they don't make any more advances. They basically get beaten. I haven't got the time scale here, but it's not until July that they take that. So it's like turn 47. So you got 47 turns before you can actually sort of get to whatever next level is. To taking out this sort of city, but a lot later on in the game, about 43, they take this. They basically start the siege at turn 16, so they start sieging this place at 16. Now it's going to be quite hard to reflect that in this game, because all you need is one die roll, get a DR, and they all retreat. And if you've got them surrounded, they all die. So reflecting that siege is quite difficult. Also, there is a lot of genocide and sort of people, displaced people, refugees, people trying to flee. Basically they were killing everyone. Both sides were killing everyone of the other's sort of ethnicity, so to speak. So there was a lot going on, but basically, to reflect that, you need to sort of sit there from turn 16 to 43, which is 26 turns, sort of pretending you're doing a siege and a few attacks. And then on turn, the reason some of these are green is because on turn 47, that is, you get a lot of Ziadist rebels. Now, basically, Georgia had its own sort of civil war at the same time, and the Ziadist rebels, they basically just sort of pop up from here, and they actually take Javari, Kobe, Sanaki, and Poti. They actually take all these places, and they also pretty much advance up to here, but they don't quite get it. So if you look at the Wikipedia thing, it shows them taking all of this. Now that pretty much must be the last straw, because essentially, although they're not fighting for Abkhazia, they're actually, a good reason for the Georgians to leave Abkhazia, which is what they did. So it's a phenomenal sort of scenario, situation, war, with a lot of sort of, not so much, I wouldn't say there was a lot of toing and froing, but I think the Georgians were pretty upset that the Abkhazians had been helped as they had, because basically they did pretty much take over the whole of Abkhazia, and if it wasn't for the fact that someone had given them what it describes there as, look at the Wikipedia thing, yeah, I mean, it sort of says that the Abkhaz military were equipped with T-72 tanks, BM-25 Grad rocket launchers, and Sukhoi Su-25 attack planes. It also says helicopters. Georgia accused Russia of supplying this equipment as it had not previously been used by the Abkhaz. So, you know, I don't think there's any surprises there. So basically Georgia pretty much gone in to sort of reclaim what they consider to be their own province, and then the Russians heavily armed the Abkhaz people. But the thing is, it's more involved than that, and I haven't really reflected that in the counters, because essentially there were more units fighting than they could have possibly mustered up themselves. So there was a lot of, as we've already sort of mentioned, a lot of the Chechens and the Cossacks, and to some extent Russians. There is a, I think, basically on turn 43, Russian air assault companies land in Tamishi. They're basically delivered navally. I mean, I quite often get this. You know, you get paratroopers in Suez taking the bus. You get paratroopers in the other one I've got where they sort of walk everywhere, and these paratroopers, these air mobile units, are being delivered by sea. But then following on from that, during the main assault on this city, the Russians actually support with MiG-29s with fairly hefty firepower. Maybe I should actually ramp up the MiG-29s. So they dropped thermobaric bombs on residential districts in Sukhumi and other villages along the Augusta River. So you know, it's pretty heavy going. I did it on a big map mainly because, as you can see, half the map is just not even used. So if you actually look at the amount of gameplay, it's actually not that big. It's just long and awkward, and it's fairly thin, and plus it's pretty much just this coastal plain along here. You can sort of see how maybe that would affect the strategy, with all this other stuff being sort of pretty tough and slow going. I'm not so sure about the exact geography sort of around here. You know, it's quite hard to determine where mountains are and where hills are. They all look the same. But from an aerial photo, which is from Google, which I use. But even so, I think it gives you a good understanding of the geography and the basic initial setup. I don't think you're going to be able to play through a whole year, because I don't think you're going to be able to do 26 turns of not taking this out. So things are going to get out of sync really quickly. So you've got to bear that in mind, and possibly even wait until turn 26 before you start your assault. What I am sort of afraid of is that something will become seriously skewed. For example, all of the Georgians will be beaten back completely, or the Georgians will completely beat back and gain everything. You know, in Abkhazia, you know, some sort of disbalance, because I haven't really sort of got my head around the order of battle or anything like that, or the significance of that. But I'm going to go. Before I started this, I was going to start with my intro. My intro was going to be, I'm not going to do any more talking. I'm just going to get straight into the play, because I was trying to drowse off yesterday, and I thought I'd watch one of my videos, because I just like to see the mouse going around the screen, the little counters moving, and I thought what's good is when you sort of see things moving. So I said, I'm not going to do any talking. I'm just going to get straight into the battle, so you can see that. So when I play the video back, you can just watch things being played. But obviously, I've got 15 seconds left, so I'm not going to be able to do that, am I? So this is just another preamble video. Awesome as it is. I hope you enjoy it. And if you want to play, you can sign up and have a blast. Speak to you later.